What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the 42nd episode of the Cycle 365. I am one of your co-hosts, Simon Villanos.
I'm Cody Stoffer.
And we got a pretty jam-packed episode. This is going to be a fun one. But first, we'll have to do our weekly sports update per usual because sports are coming back faster than, any of us would have thought. It's been a long time coming, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Cody for our weekly sports news.
All right. Thank you, Simon. So kind of going over things that have happened within the past week, the NHL had a new CBA go through. Now, this, CBAs only happen once every couple of years, and a lot of these CBAs in a lot of these major sports have bumped into this COVID process, and so we can kind of see the impacts that it's had. So in this new NHL CBA, one of the big headlines from it is that the salary cap won't be raised for the next 2 years, and that's to kind of compensate for the money that the NHL isn't making from the games that they won't be playing and from the fans that won't be in the seats. So that's kind of a compensation that they've had to do that's going to have an impact on free agents. There's also a new house hunters clause where players, when they're traded or when they're signed, because there's a lot of fluidity as in the NHL as far as like players being traded or being sent down to the minors and pulled back up from all kinds of different places. It's not as clear and cut as, say, like football, where basically anyone who starts the year is going to be on a roster by the end of the year. In the NFL, like, people can get sent down in the NHL. So this house hunters clause allows for players to get a round trip flight to wherever their new city is to find a house and choose it to live in. And then they get one trip. So after they get back to where they were living, they get one more plane trip to move all of their stuff. And it was also pretty big for family members of NHL players, where like specifically spouses and kids are allowed to be in the same like air class, if that makes sense. So, business or like first class, stuff like that. They're allowed the same kind of, tier, if you want to call it that. So, and there were some decisions made as far as what the NHL is going to do with the Olympics. But it's closer than it's ever been to competing in the Olympics. And had this CBA been able to actually have time to work itself through, we probably would have seen more NHL interaction in the Olympics, because they run in at the same time of the season for some teams. So those are some of the major points from this CBA. And I'm going to toss it to you guys to just see kind of what you think, knowing how the NFL CBA works in the past. And we've seen that and the big changes that it's made. And also just kind of your guys' thoughts on how obviously COVID has impacted it, and whether the NHL will be able to bounce back from this in 6 years when the new CBA comes back.
Honestly, so y'all know I'm not as familiar with hockey. We're talking money here, so I'm not completely out of my element to say, but I think the whole, what is it, the house? Oh my gosh, what is it, house finder?
House hunters.
House hunter clause or whatever that is. Yeah, I think that's fair. I kind of thought teams did that already as a courtesy, but no, that's a nice little thing, and keeps families together and whatnot. And for all professional athletes, that's always a tough thing, being an athlete, being a professional athlete, and then having a family and having to move them around. So that's just one less worry checked off, I would say. And then I kind of get whole, like, salary cap not rising and them taking, COVID in as a factor, right? Because that's the deal here going on with why the salary cap isn't rising for the next 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that might be an indicator of future CBAs. I'm not completely sure when the NBA and NFL CBA are due, but I feel like it's pretty close because it's been about, that 10-ish years or so. So I think this might be an indicator of future CBAs and for other sports, that is, and what that'll look like moving forward. Just because, I mean, honestly, this whole COVID thing, not a lot of money's being made. Everyone's basically going to be losing money some way or another. So I think this is just something that shows it happened as a result of this, COVID-19 crisis. So I am actually interested in seeing how the future CBAs and other sports will turn out, especially after this one was done.
Liam, your thoughts?
Yeah, I do think the House Hunter clause, that's a good thing. I think it's hard to say this because I always root for I do always root for the players, and I always want them to get the better half of the agreements that they are signing. But with the COVID crisis, I think it's going to be pretty tough, as a business, because that's what all sports is basically. Is just a business for these businesses to make sure everybody's paid well, and paid especially when nobody's really playing anything. So the salary cap pause for 2 years that's a good thing in my opinion. Even though I don't think anybody actually really wants it. I think that it'll be interesting if players still keep getting signed to bigger and bigger contracts, even though the salary cap is being paused for 2 years, or not raised for 2 years, I should say. I do think that once hockey's back, that it'll be back to normal for the most part, especially with everything going on. That I think everybody will kind of embrace it pretty well and just go straight for it.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I know that the salary cap being flattened is like an obvious move, right?
Yeah.
To make up money that's lost. However, definitely people who are sad about this are upcoming free agents for this year and for next year, because the salary cap that's constantly been increasing means bigger contracts, and Simon, you kind of touched on it, as far as like the House Hunters clause seems like it should be obvious, right? But the NHL, in terms of money and in terms of player association, is pretty far behind the other sports, being like NBA, even MLB and NFL, where they just don't have a lot of strength, because hockey is still like a growing sport, especially here in America. Like it's very popular to watch in Canada, but the US audience is still slowly but surely being won over, and they're finding out which markets are the right ones. A team like Vegas was huge for the NHL, and a team in Seattle, which may also run into problems here because the Seattle team was supposed to start here in the next couple of years. That is kind of on the table right now instead of being pushed down the track. But there's some huge names that can't get, I guess, bigger contracts. And one of them being Alex Ovechkin, who, won the Stanley Cup for the Washington Capitals a couple of years ago, as well as Gabriel Landeskog, who is an Avs forward and captain and has been for years. And Landeskog is definitely the next guy to get that big contract after we gave a huge one to Nathan McKinnon and after we gave another big one to Rantanen. So Landeskog is going to be looking at those guys' contracts and just potentially not be able to get the same thing. And then there's also Jordan Binnington, who was the rookie Stanley Cup winning goalie for the Blues. And you just gotta, it's a tough situation, but man, it's gotta stink to be those players that we're looking forward to cashing in, basically.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I mean, look, I can't really, I feel like I want the athletes, to get paid more. And I mean, it really does screw over some of these future free agents, but that's just the reality of this crisis, to be honest. And honestly, like, I mean, it's not completely the whole NHL's fault that this whole thing's going on, because a lot of the league is in Canada and they're doing their part better than we are. So there's that. That's just a reality of this. I mean, on the bright side, it is only 2 years, right? Where it's just going to stay the same and then it will steadily rise. And also, isn't the CBA only for the next 6 years? Is that right?
Yeah. Until the 2025-2026 season.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, as far as CBAs goes, like just looking on the bright side, it's not the longest CBA, because I feel like most CBAs go for more than 7 or 8 years. Isn't that right? Like 10 years, every 10 years or so. I might be wrong though.
No, in other sports, it's usually a 10-year CBA. Like the NFL just had theirs because it's 2020 and the last one was in like 2009.
But yeah, no, I got you. Okay, so yeah, so this isn't that. It's not as bad as it could be. And honestly, maybe after 2 years go by, something else could be renegotiated, or pre-negotiated, if that makes sense. Like ahead of time. So it's not the longest. So I feel like that's fair. What would be worse is that if they made it a 10-year thing and said, all right, well, we're not going to raise the salary cap for 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could certainly always be worse. I hear you.
But I mean, yeah, that's all I really have to say, though.
Awesome. And for those who don't know, the NHL is going to have a Stanley Cup playoff qualification round and round robin. So kind of what the NBA is doing as far as figuring out seeding and who gets to play who in the actual Stanley Cup playoffs. So definitely an accelerated rate. And there's going to be 2 hub cities. One is going to be in Toronto for the Eastern Conference in the NHL, and the other is going to be in Edmonton for the Western Conference in the NHL. So that's kind of where they're at. And there's also been some encouraging news as of July 13th to July 17th, there were 2,618 tests administered to over 800 players, and only 2 positive coronavirus tests came back, and both of those players have since self-isolated and quarantined. So good news as far as sports looking to safely return on the NHL front.
Yeah, I mean, for now that is as positive as we can be and realistic. But
yeah. I mean, 2 positive tests is pretty encouraging, and the NBA just said that there were 0 positive tests for people inside the bubble. So
that's true.
That is some good news. And kind of going to transition pretty hard now in some other good news. MLB opening day is in 3 days. Now I know my boy Jesse isn't here, fellow baseball guy, even bigger baseball guy than me, but we're going to do our best to kind of walk through these opening games with y'all. And so on Thursday night, there's only 2 games, one that I'm way more excited for than the other. The first game to kick off do you call it a kickoff in baseball? Anyways, the first game is the New York Yankees at the Washington Nationals. So you have the defending World Series champs against the American League Championship Series runner-ups to open up the season. That's going to be really exciting. We're going to see Max Scherzer versus Garrett Cole, who are 2 of the biggest names in the pitching game. With Garrett Cole winning a World Series 2 years ago. Well, I should say, quote, won a World Series because, played for the Astros, and the Nationals, who just won a World Series this past year. And followed by that is the Giants and the Dodgers, who no one cares about because we're Rockies fans here. And for all my Colorado listeners, your opening game is Colorado Rockies at Texas Rangers. So obviously this will be a really different environment because opening day I'd say it's almost a holiday here in America where, people like no baseball game really means as much than opening day until you get into the playoffs. Like it is the most important day in baseball. It's kind of like the Daytona 500 in NASCAR. And what?
Rockies versus Rangers.
Yeah, Rockies versus Rangers. Oh, you gonna start being a Rangers fan now because you found?
What do you mean start being?
Because you found out the Astros were cheaters, bro.
I was never an Astros fan. I just had their gear. That was involuntarily. That was involuntarily. This was years ago, back when they sucked, and people would literally just give out Astros gear because nobody cared, even though their logo is pretty fire back then. But so I don't care that much about baseball. But I watch it though.
You want to put a lunch down on this Rockies Rangers game?
Ooh,
is it not a series?
Well, the schedule is a bit different this year, where you're only going to get to play. It's 60 games instead of 162, so they cut 100 games straight off the top, and they're going to play regional schedules where. So they're going to face 4 teams in their division 10 times and then play 20 games against interleague teams in their region. So it's not going to be really the same thing.
Right.
I don't think that it's going to be a series. So you have Rockies at Rangers there. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it is a series. We face you guys Friday and Saturday and maybe Sunday. I mean, it's really weird saying that. It's at Texas, but it's not going to be the same because there's not going to be fans there. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy that they're still traveling, though. I thought they were going to do a bubble type of situation or not.
Yeah, so do you want to put lunch down on the series then?
Yeah, bet. Let's do it.
All right, cool. You heard it here first. Rockies are going to win this.
I have no idea how good the Rangers are, though. So,
you just signed yourself away, Simon.
I mean,
for nothing.
Bro,
for lunch, you just gave up $10, dude.
The Rockies were nothing to write home about last year, so it's fairly even, I'd say, between these two teams.
I mean, is it? What if someone tests positive for COVID right before the game?
Dude, you need to stop speaking that into the air because I just want sports, dude. Like, come on.
I mean, sports will happen.
Let me have one weekend of baseball, dude.
Okay, I bet. So hold up, the whole series is gonna be in Texas?
Yeah. So the teams are playing regionally. So just for example, I'll go through and talk just kind of the Rockies schedule. So we got at the Rangers, at the Oakland A's. The Padres don't really count because they're in our division, and you get to face everyone in your division. And then we have, there's also the Giants. Then we have the Mariners, and then the Rangers again, Astros, Dodgers, D-backs, Padres. Like, it's all going to be the same teams, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
Like, the Rockies are stuck on the West Coast, so we won't be facing, like, the Yankees this year.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, so basically the Rockies schedule will be looking a lot like the Rangers one, is what you're saying.
Yes and no. So it'll be a lot of division games more than anything. So we're gonna play just like the normal season, right? We're gonna play the Padres, Dodgers, and the Giants the most, and the Diamondbacks the most. And then there's just little other games scattered in through there. So for us, it's the A's, the Angels, the Rangers, the Mariners, just because they're all kind of Western region. The Astros,
Yeah. Okay. I get it now. All right. Well, I'll still put lunch on it.
Cool. And then, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the MLB is going to use crowd noise and sounds from MLB The Show, the video game, over their loudspeakers to try and like simulate that fans are there.
Okay. We'll see how that sounds or looks like. I don't know about that, but all right.
What's got you questioning it? I guess let's get your guys' thoughts on this, because it's definitely kind of like they're trying, but it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's cool, I guess. Like, so there's no fans gonna be there. There's not gonna be any fans there, obviously, right? So I get it, but I don't know. I think there'll just be a little bit of a disconnect, like visually and oh my gosh, what's the other word? Audio wise as well, I guess. It depends how they do it. Yeah. I mean, it depends how they do it. So they'll be playing it in the stadium, not like on the broadcast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit better and whatnot, but we'll see. Like we have never seen something like this before, except for maybe in like video games, and even that's weird to me too. When that's happened a few times, it has like glitching out and whatnot. So we'll just have to see.
Liam, what do you think of using video game noises and soundtrack for the real thing?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, it's obviously going to feel a little bit weird, right? But it's a decent workaround, you know? It might even be noisier than it's ever been in MLB games, especially like just standard season games. Because, I think we all here have been to a game, and it's just like, yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on. People are usually talking to themselves, even when something big kind of happens,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, part of that is just like kind of Rocky's culture,
right?
But like, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be funny and it'll be interesting because it'll probably be louder than it's ever been.
I wonder what the over under is on that.
Yeah. Right.
That would be kind of interesting to look into, actually. But do y'all think that if it's too weird, that they'll just, cut it the rest of the season and not make it a thing anymore?
Dude, I just think it'd be really weird to play baseball in like a really quiet stadium. Like,
yeah,
you have the team. Just gotta be louder.
I mean, you're right, but like, it's still weird. IMO.
Yeah. Well, okay, but like if it is weird though, and it sounds super unnatural and looks weird, and it's like, I can't see this hurting ratings, but maybe when NBA comes on, it might hurt ratings. But if it's like hurting ratings, like, do you think they'll ride it out and just be like, we've already played it for 2 games, so now we got to play it for the next 63?
Well, they're not going to do it if the ratings are bad. But I just genuinely don't think that the ratings are going to get worse. Like, I feel like they're probably going to be at an all-time high, and they could be playing circus music in the background because people are just so thirsty for sports, me included.
Yeah, you especially.
What?
I don't know what that means,
what does that mean?
but anyways, you guys have any more thoughts on MLB opening weekend? Y'all better watch it so that we have a segment next week.
When is it? What
Did you
day?
drop the times?
Yeah, drop the times.
Oh my gosh, bro. It's like happening all day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's too much for me.
We're just talking Rockies games. Then
I just want to know the Rangers Rockies game,
All right, well, the first one is at 6 o'clock on Friday, then 2 o'clock on Saturday, and then noon 30 on Sunday.
Nice.
Thanks.
Oh, we'll see.
Noon 30, 2:30.
Man, we really go from prime time to like wake up to watch this game, don't we? Whatever.
Yeah. That's okay.
It happens.
Well, all right.
Sports.
It's sports. We'll take it. So that does it for this segment. Coming up next, top 5 defensive linemen of all time.
guys, welcome back to the Cycle 365. With this next segment, we're going to be talking about the top 5 defensive linemen in NFL history. I guess I'll just go first. I might as well list them off. I'll go 5 to number 1. So I'll give you my my crazy stuff first. At number 5, I have Michael Strahan, defensive lineman for the Giants. Number 4, I got Alan Page, part of the Purple People Eaters. Good Lord. Number 3, I got Deacon Jones, who played for primarily the Rams, the LA Rams at the time. Number 2, Reggie White. Number 1, Bruce Smith.
Interesting.
Whoa. All right.
Simon, you hit the whoa on that one. What does your 5 look like?
I mean, what's interesting is that I have 4 of the same players, but they're all in different spots except for one, I'm pretty sure. But I'll just go ahead.
Okay.
So at number 5, I got Deacon Jones. Number 4, I have Alan Page. At number 3, I have Mean Joe Green. Number 2, I have Bruce Smith. And at number 1, I have Reggie White.
So, Simon, you and I have the exact same 5 players, but in a different order.
Okay.
So, and we talked a little bit before this segment for those listening and decided this was probably one of the easier lists to put together. So, I'll go from 5 to 1. I have Alan Page, number 5, Bruce Smith, number 4, Mean Joe Green, number 3, Deacon Jones, number 2, and Reggie White, number 1.
Oh, okay. Well,
All right.
let's start from the top then. You had Reggie White at the top, is that correct, Cody?
Yeah, Reggie White, the GOAT.
All right. Yeah, the Minister of Defense. I honestly couldn't have seen many other people at number 1 except for maybe Bruce Smith. Was your number 1? Is that right, Liam?
Yeah, Bruce Smith was my number 1.
Okay. I mean, I can't really argue with that, but where did you put Reggie White though?
Reggie White was number 2.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Which
why do you
pretty
think?
obvious.
Yeah. Well, why do you think he's number 2 then?
Reggie White?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if I'm being fair and honest, I would personally put them both tied for first.
Okay.
But can't do that. And so I think Bruce Smith just wins it on stats. So Bruce Smith has 1,225 tackles, 200 sacks, the only player in NFL history, as we all know, to have 200 sacks, 43 forced fumbles. Reggie White has, I believe, 1,100 some odd tackles, 198 sacks, so the second of all time, and 33 forced fumbles. So, not like, I mean, we're talking minuscule differences per season. It's the difference between like five sacks a season or 5 tackles a season total and 1 fumble per season. But Bruce Smith put up better numbers ultimately.
That's fair. I mean, he still edges him out, so I see that. I put Reggie White at number 1 because of that Super Bowl championship. And I know that might not be as fair for a lineman. We've talked about that, but they definitely play a role. And I mean, Bruce Smith did go to 3. He just didn't win any of them.
Right.
So
He went to 4, didn't he?
He might have even gone to 4.
hey, how?
Didn't the Bills lose 4 in a row?
I thought it was only 3. Either way, he didn't win a Super Bowl, and that's the point I'm making. Yeah. And,
Yeah, they lost 4.
Oh, okay.
In
So
a
yeah,
row.
so he lost 4. He's 0-4, while Reggie White is. I actually don't know what that stat is. At least 1 in something. So there you go. But that's fair though, because their stats are pretty similar. I mean, they're both pretty good players. They longevity wise, they've played for a really long time. I mean, they both have more than 10 Pro Bowls, which is pretty impressive for a defensive lineman. So okay, I mean, I can't really argue with that. I think that's fair. I would have put Bruce. I thought about putting him at number 1, but championships speak to me. So
That's fair.
And I think something that's important for the championship to mean as much as it does for Reggie White is that he holds the record for most sacks in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's also very fair.
So not only did his team win the Super Bowl, but he did his part and even went above and beyond. Well, okay, not above and beyond Reggie White standards because, you know, we're talking best defensive lineman of all time, but he did what he needed to do to secure that Super Bowl win for the Packers against the Pats. So,
yeah, I mean that's totally fair. Wait, you meant with the Packers, right?
Yeah. Did I say
okay?
against?
Okay, I think so, but I wasn't sure if you. Okay, but yeah, no, for sure. And just with Reggie White, he was okay. He wasn't like revolutionary with the moves he used as a defensive lineman, but he was most definitely a master at just being real technical and just good at breaking a guy down with his arms and hands, you know? So,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's probably not super revolutionary because he did play in the 90s and one season in 2000, but it still counts for something. There are plenty of players that, you know, watches film, modern day players that is, watches film and, take after his technicality. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, so I didn't really talk about Bruce Smith as much, but he's number 4 on my list, and it's not disrespect to Bruce Smith. It's more a kudos to the guys in front of him. And I believe everyone had Deacon Jones on their list, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So wait, where did you guys have him again?
I had Deacon at number 3.
Number 3?
Yeah.
Cool. I had him at 5.
See, and we're kind of all over the place on Deacon because I put him at number 2. And I think a huge reason for me putting him at number 2 is the fact that he got 173 and a half sacks. Now, this is unofficial, but this is watching back through film, right? So it might as well be. And the only reason that it's unofficial is because Deacon Jones came up with the term sack for destroying a quarterback. And he was a mean dude, and he changed the way that the game was played because you're not allowed to just straight up sock somebody in the helmet anymore as a part of your pass rushing skill set. You know, you have rip, swim, and bull rush. You don't have punch anymore because Deacon Jones was so good at it. And it said that he had over 20 sacks in multiple seasons, and it's just hard to keep track of that because he played so long ago. But I think just the fact that he revolutionized the game, came up with the term sack, and was just a different breed of players, what puts him at number 2 for me, especially in an era that didn't have as much passing.
That's fair. Honestly, Deacon Jones was somebody I looked up to as a young pass rusher, which is kind of interesting why he's at 5. But just by my standards, I'm going by stats and championships mostly, and, you know, MVPs and whatnot. So that's why he's at 5. But no doubt, he's most definitely one of the best defensive linemen of all time, though. And quick story. So I forgot what it was specifically, but you know how NFL like network runs, what is it? Those old films or videos on older players, right? Doing like top 10 defensive linemen of all time. Like, do you remember those? I know
exactly. You even said it the way that the guy says it.
Yeah, exactly. It's iconic. But I remember seeing Deacon, and I'm like, dang, that's kind of dope. And like, I most definitely forgot that, you know, it's kind of illegal to smack your the blocker not upside the head, but at the side, like in the ear hole, because I most definitely did it for like a whole middle school game. For that game, I was playing mostly defensive tackle, or I was a, you know, middle linebacker blitzing the middle, so nobody really saw, but I did it a lot. So shout out to the, you know, centers and guards that took a couple punches from me, a former boxer, to the head, because I most definitely had like 3 or 4 sacks in that game. But yeah, I had to do it. I really didn't have to.
You really did it to him, bro.
Yeah. The guys probably went home and they're like, man, I got punched today.
It's an intimidation factor. If the refs were paying attention, then maybe they could have stopped it, but they didn't. And it wasn't until after the game, and I told a friend, he was like, "Bro, that's kind of illegal, right?" And I'm like, "What do you mean that's kind of illegal?" And then he showed me the rest of the clip or whatever, because the clip I watched was apparently cut off. So, oops.
I was like, "Well, yeah, of course it's illegal. That's how I play."
I mean, hey, them old school Cowboys. There's a reason everyone thought we were thugs. But anyways. Nothing against Deacon. He's just at 5 for me based on my standards with this list.
That's fair.
Liam, do you have anything to add on about the young, well, not so young, Deacon Jones?
No, I mean he's great. He's at number 3. He was a force. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and that's why
he's also a personality.
Yes.
True. And that's why, that's another reason he's at number 2 is the sack leader award is named after him. So
it's true. It is,
it's
even though
boy.
He is not the sack leader.
Yeah, but that's still pretty good for back then, though.
I mean, if they used Deacon Jones's statistics, he'd be the single season sack leader by 3.5 sacks.
It's true.
He unofficially got 26 one season, and that was in a shorter season too.
Dang, that's crazy. Wouldn't he be 3rd if those unofficial sacks counted?
Yeah, he'd be 3rd.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, shout out to him. If there was any revolutionary on this list, I think Deacon Jones is the oldest player on my list. So there you go.
Yeah, I think he's the oldest on all of our lists.
Yep.
Okay, so we're on the same page with that. Yeah. All right. Moving forward, though, I'm trying to remember, did y'all include Mean Joe Green on any of y'all's list?
I did.
I did not.
Okay. I think you and I both have him at number 3, dog.
Yeah, we both do. All right. So, Liam, once again, how come you didn't have this lineman at this spot?
Spot? It's no disrespect to Mean Joe Green. He's one of the best, and he's in my honorable mentions, obviously. But I felt like there needed to be a little bit of recency bias and a little bit of anti-recency bias. So that's why I put Michael Strahan right there.
Yeah.
Just because I think that as we continue to look back and as we continue to get older and further away from Strahan, I think we'll see that he was. Or could or should be a top 5 guy, in my opinion.
All right, well, that is fair. Okay, that's fair. I could believe it. I mean, that's your standards for the list, so I respect that. I put Mean Joe Green here because obviously I'm a Steelers fan, and he made Pittsburgh Steelers football culture, if I'm just being honest, because the Steelers were a bunch of losers before he came around. Also, shout out to North Texas, the Mean Green. I have a ton of people who go to that school, which is also where Mean Joe Green is from, by the way. And so I had to put him up here. He's somebody I've personally always looked up to as one of the best defensive linemen of all time. He was up there with Deacon Jones as older guys I looked up to for sure. And yeah, he made Pittsburgh Steelers a culture. He made them a new culture, I should say, and won them 4 Super Bowls, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, 4 Super Bowls. So that's the most. That might actually be more than anybody else combined on this list. More than everybody else combined on this list, on my list at least. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, the only thing that you can maybe hold against Joe Green is that he only had about 78.5 sacks, 79.
That's fair. I have him here.
Everybody else on the list who passes 150 or gets close to it.
He was an interior defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have him here more for the culture than anything, to be honest.
Fair.
Well, if you guys are wondering if Joe Green deserves to be on this list after hearing Simon just admit that he's really biased and that's why he's up here, let me tell you why Mean Joe Green is number 3 on my list. Something that goes overlooked for Joe Green is that he's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Simon already mentioned he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion. He was also an 8-time All-Pro and a 10-time Pro Bowler. So, he also had durability, and Simon kind of talked about it. So we've had a bunch of people who have been from this Steelers 70s dynasty, but Mean Joe Green is the face of it for me, because without Joe Green, there's no Steel Curtain. There's no Terry Bradshaw winning 4 Super Bowls. It was the Steel Curtain that defined Steelers football and a lot of the NFL throughout the 1970s. So,
True.
I think Joe Green is the reason that we talk about guys like Jack Ham and stuff like that. So that's what it means to me, is he was the most dominant player on one of the best teams in NFL history back in the 70s. So, along with those 2-time Defensive Player of the Years, which is basically the same amongst most of these guys on this list.
Wait, what do you mean the same? Like
a lot of these guys are 2-time Defensive Player of the Year winners.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I knew you'd bring all that up. The accolades speak for himself. I think as far as being the most decorated, accolade-wise, he's most definitely up there. Stat-wise, that's really the only thing you could hold against him. But other than that, he's a champion. He's played for a while. He changed the whole culture. I mean, the Steelers would have 4 less Super Bowls if it wasn't for him, and he most definitely was one of the, obviously, shout out to Chuck Noll and everyone else and that whole family, but he was most definitely part of, turning around this team and making the Steelers into the type of franchise it is today. So, yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
So does that just leave Alan Page as far as the last guy that we all have on our list?
Yeah, as far as who we all have on our list together.
So, Liam, why don't you tell us about the Duke of the Purple People Eaters?
Well, like we've said before, like I messed up a couple times. He was one of the Purple People Eaters, 148 and a half sacks, 9-time Pro Bowler, which is pretty good. And I mean, looking back at history, I don't think there was an offense who really relished going up against that Vikings defense.
No, absolutely not.
And I mean, the fact of the matter is that those Viking defenses took that team to 4 Super Bowls, and he was the only one of the Vikings he was one of 11 Vikings to have played in all 4. Which, I mean, it's just kind of crazy what those defenses were able to do. And no, even though they didn't win any of those Super Bowls, they still got there, obviously.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, this is just a side note, but he was also the first African-American justice to serve on the Minnesota Supreme Court. Which is pretty interesting. I don't think you see that every day from any of these players, to be honest. So
he might be the only NFL player to ever become a justice.
Might actually be true. It's pretty impressive. I mean, I respect it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, big shout out to his career after football. Very he might have the most prestigious career after football of any person.
Of any person? I mean,
as far as like what he's done,
Yeah. No, facts. Okay, I got you. Where did y'all have him at again? Did we all have him at 4?
I had him at 5.
I had him at 4.
Okay, so basically the same page. I mean, no offense to him, they're just some better players. He did his thing though. There were some better players.
Not only that though, but he also worked on the construction team that built the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The man built the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where he would later be enshrined.
This guy did it all.
He did it all. Yeah.
I respect that. Okay. Hey.
He went out, he grabbed the ingredients, he warmed up the stove, He cooked the food and then he ate.
Facts. More NFL players should have post careers like Alan Page. That's real impressive. No cap. Cap at all. And,
I also want to give Alan Page a shout out for being one of 2 defensive players to ever win NFL MVP and the only defensive lineman to ever do it. And also, if they counted all of his sacks, he would have 173, which would be miles ahead of any other defensive tackle.
Yeah.
So, dude was a hog, for sure.
All right. He's my number 1. You've convinced me.
Oh my god. I mean, MVPs are pretty elite. So
MVPs are pretty elite. I mean, to be up there with Lawrence Taylor, and obviously still be the only lineman on there.
Man, if only he won literally one Super Bowl. He might be number 1 for me if he literally won once.
That's fair.
Same, actually. Just one would have been good enough to throw him up there, to be honest.
Yeah. He's also potentially the only NFL player to have the Presidential Medal of Freedom, at least.
From Donald Trump?
Yeah, from Donald Trump. But
I mean, it's still a medal. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But he might be... I don't know if Pat Tillman got it posthumously. He might have. But he would be the only person that I could think of.
Yeah, no, for sure. Also, okay. I respect it. He would honestly be someone who I would put number 1. Also, 173 sacks. Isn't that the same exact number as Deacon Jones?
It's half a sack less.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. Man, why don't they just go back and make it official? Oh, well, that's fine.
But, yeah, I know, right?
I'd do that job.
I would do that, yeah. Just watch.
Dude, are you kidding me? We just watch film all day? Get out the tally sheet, dude.
Oh, pay me. I would do that for minimum wage, no cap.
I bet, yeah. As long as I could work like over 40 a week. Like you don't even have to pay me, you don't even have to pay me overtime. You know what I'm saying? Just like fit like 60 hours a week minimum wage to watch NFL films. Let's get it.
Congrats, NFL. We just created some new jobs for y'all that we hope to, fill.
Yeah, you need to call us first.
They're not going to do that. But yeah, I always thought that was kind of weird because I know in NBA, like they tally up points and rebounds and stuff like that, though, don't they? It's like official. Yeah. Bruh. I mean, if you got the film, go for it, I guess. But if you don't have like the angle of like, I know there's some film, like older film, at least in football games, where you don't have like the right angle to see what went down. Because y'all know the Immaculate Reception, right?
Oh, we know the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah, like I just realized this after watching Peyton's Places that they never have an angle of like the back of the offense
of the actual reception.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird. I just thought they cut out weirdly, and I don't know. It didn't matter because we lost the next week, but it is what it is.
That's fair.
Hey, y'all beat the Raiders, so it was a catch, bro.
Yeah.
that was 1,000% a catch.
For sure.
I think Liam, you said that you have Mean Joe Green on your honorable mentions, and I think I don't want to speak for Simon, but I'd assume Michael Strahan is on your honorable mention list as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now I'm still a little on the line about his 22 and a half sacks, but it is what it is.
About that last one, you mean?
Yeah, the last one.
Oh. Would have got him either way, though. Probably. He probably would have.
I mean, it's Brett Favre.
If Favre and him weren't buddies, dude, there's no way. Like, Favre just... dog.
How old was Favre in 2001? Was he in his 30s at
2001? He got it in 2007, didn't he?
No, 2001. Right. 2007 is when Strahan retired.
Oh, yeah.
After he got that one ring.
Yeah, Favre was maybe 28 in 2001, 29.
Okay, so maybe he would have. Whatever. I mean, he would have got him probably.
Bro,
If it's one less, it's still in the record book as number 2 of all time. Plus he's a Super Bowl champion, so there you go.
And honestly, without him in that Super Bowl team, there's an undefeated Patriots team in the world.
Yes.
Which is nothing that any of us would ever be able to allow. That's why he's
True.
in my top 5.
It's fair. Yeah, you gotta include him. Are we going honorable mentions right now?
yes, sir.
Okay. Maybe I'm just super biased, but there are like 3 Dallas Cowboys players that I left off the list, just because I can. They're still pretty good. So I'm just gonna name both of them. One is Randy White, and the other is Bob Lilly. Both of them kind of did the same. I would say pretty close to the same thing that Joe Green did for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but in turn for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm pretty sure both of them were, at least at one point or another, were coached by Tom Landry and were part of that doomsday defense or something. Maybe not Randy White, but Bob Lilly, I'm pretty sure.
Dude, Randy White started 1 year after Bob Lilly, and they were both dogs. So
Yeah.
Those guys are
Yeah.
just.
Randy White won co-MVP of the Super Bowl.
so what? It was against the Broncos, bro. With
Exactly.
was it Craig Morton? Was that our quarterback?
Something.
Yeah. So whatever, dude.
We don't remember him.
Okay, well that's fine.
He's
But yeah,
not Duke.
But they were dogs. They were dogs.
I had to include both of them though. You know how it is.
I'm gonna take this time to plug my boy Julius Peppers, though,
Yeah.
who I kind of, as far as like modern pass rushers go, I put him a little bit ahead of Strahan, just because he was able to play for like a little bit longer. I'm pretty sure. See, 14 years to 17 years, or 15 years.
Has he retired yet?
No, he retired. He retired.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Can we get a fact check on that?
Bro, he stopped
I'm
playing in
kidding.
He stopped playing in 2018, brev. But yeah, he's 4th all time in career sacks. He also has 52 forced fumbles, which I'm pretty sure is more than Bruce Smith or Reggie White, as well as 11 picks and 6 touchdowns. And like, it wasn't that he was an outside linebacker who would come down to D-line. He was a defensive end that would stand up and drop into coverage because he was just so damn tall and athletic.
Wait, I thought we had Julius Peppers on our linebackers list.
Did we?
I don't want to go all the way back and find it. I thought I did, at least, and then there might have been a dispute there. So,
I mean, it's a back and forth thing. So, but Julius Peppers was a dog. I just needed to say his name.
no doubt. Where would y'all say JJ Watt is right now?
I mean,
I would put him at number 8 through 10.
I mean,
Really?
he's a 3-time defensive player of the year, but like, bro, like his first 5 years in the NFL were like literally the best. And I think that he should have won MVP in 2014. Like,
Yes.
I really think he should have won MVP in 2014. But like, bro, he hasn't done anything since. So like, it's really hard. Maybe at like 10. But if he stayed at the same pace that he did for those first 5 years, he'd probably be like, he'd end up being number 1 of all time.
Well, if JJ gets traded to the Steelers and gets reunited with his other 2 brothers and they win a Super Bowl,
my God.
what would he be then?
Bro,
If he wins a Super Bowl. If he wins a Super Bowl.
save it for the what if segment coming up next.
All right. Okay. It's not mine, though, but okay.
While that would be cool. Yeah, save it for the what if.
I mean, that would be the first 3 brothers to ever be on the same team to win a Super Bowl. That's really specific, but you know.
Bro, that's like when they bring up that stat where like the Colquitt brothers punted against each other, and every game they were like, they have just beaten the record for most games. Brothers have punted against each other. It's like, yeah, of course they have. They played twice a year in the same division, and they had the record within like literally 2 games. So like, but they bring it up every time.
Oh, that too. But, okay. Were there any other honorable mentions for y'all? I have a couple, but I'll just go list them off.
Yeah, go ahead and do that because they're probably just going to be the same. I'll just give a thumbs up for it.
Yeah, so I had Warren Sapp. I mean, that goes without saying. Super Bowl champion, big part of that Tampa Bay defense. John Randall from, I think, most notably the Minnesota Vikings, I'm pretty sure. Excuse me.
Sir.
And then Richard Dent, part of that Chicago Bears defense. Charles Haley, who I'm pretty sure was was he a 5-time champion? That's kind of crazy. Yeah, he has 5. Okay, so Charles Haley and Tom Brady are the only 2 players in NFL history to win at least 5 Super Bowl rings, which is pretty insane. Also, he's part of the 100 sack club, so there you go. But yeah, that's Jason Taylor, I guess. He really never had a chance to be in here, in my opinion, but I mean, no. He's there.
Dang, bro, you didn't have to drag him like that.
Look, I've always thought Jason Taylor was a little overrated. That's it. Just a little bit.
Just a little?
Yeah. Or,
Not a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
The only guy that I'd say you're missing is Merlin Olsen, but maybe.
Oh yeah, my bad. I scrolled past him. Yeah, Merlin Olsen for sure. He's an old head, so he's up there. Yeah.
Liam, did we miss anybody?
I don't think so. I mean,
More
probably, but I don't really think so.
Hey, Vince Wilfork. There we go.
Vince Wilfork,
like,
is a dog.
Yeah, he could be up here if he wants to.
That's fair.
Dude, why not Big Alfred Williams for that late 90s Bronco teams? No, I'm just playing. He runs a great radio show though, so and he was good at the time.
I don't know who that is.
Please notice me, Big Al.
Well, coming up next, favorite sport what ifs.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Cycle 365. This is our last segment, and we have a really fun one. This one could get really deep too, but I think we're gonna limit it to at least one scenario per person. But what we're doing here, we're going to talk about our favorite what ifs of all time, and this is sports. For some of our fans out there, I'm pretty sure we've mentioned it. I guess we've only mentioned it once on the show, but I think it was a conversation between Cody and I about Dave Dameshek's what if L, or no, that's not it, NFL, where they basically follow what if scenarios, and he goes on a pretty big rabbit trail. They're so entertaining, they're great. The dying breed, because he's not gonna make any more, sadly. But
I miss those, dude.
Me too. But we're gonna do a little bit of that here, but instead of just football, I assume it's gonna be all sports. So yeah. So who wants to go first, talking about their favorite what if scenario of all time? And here, actually, let me backtrack real quick. So the rules with this is that, I guess not really the rules, but it's a scenario or alternate reality that you would like to have seen, I guess. So yeah. But I mean, do either of y'all want to go, or I could go?
You can go ahead and go.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, this one's pretty out there, but I have another one just in case. I didn't do a whole ton of research into it because there really wasn't any way, but I had to really think about it, okay? So, mine is, what if there had been no color barrier in sports since the beginning of time? So what I'm saying, that one's pretty tough. That one's pretty tough because that changes sports history in every sport altogether. Because basically what you're saying is that there is no racism or prejudice in sports, which considering this is all really just a game, I feel like it really shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it was that big of a deal. But that's mine. And I think that one's really interesting because honestly, if anybody was allowed or had the same resources and access to play different sports, we could potentially see drastic changes in sports histories. There could be certain championships and dynasties that would not have existed if people of color or whoever were allowed to play that sport in basketball and most definitely in football. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that one's a lot. I mean, we could dive into that, but what do y'all have to say about that one though?
I mean, I
That's
feel
far
like
reaching.
that is the first name that came to my mind was Babe Ruth, because that is something that a lot of people bring up as far as Babe Ruth's dominance. Was he played in a very limited Major League Baseball. So
Yes.
that would change all of baseball's history, and yeah, I don't know where Babe Ruth would be and the entire game of baseball if that had been allowed. So
there would be some new GOATs of all time, to be honest, or at least some new GOATs of each generation if that was the case. Because I'm just saying, you could go back to the 30s and whatnot of the NFL, and I could guarantee you that there's a better player. There was probably a better guy who could play wide receiver than, Don Hudson from Alabama. Just saying, but there probably was. That person was probably too busy getting oppressed. But anyways, Liam.
Now, Cody, you go. I want to hear what you got first.
So my what if scenario is going to be a bit more on the micro level than Simon's, but it's about baseball, and it's if Ted Williams didn't go fight in World War II. So Ted Williams, he is one of the best hitters of all time. I'm pretty sure he still has the record for highest batting average in a season, which was 406. So like almost half the time when he went up to the plate, as far as a full season goes, he'd hit the ball. So, but he was 23 in 1942, and he didn't come back to baseball until 1946. And basically after 1949, he didn't play over 150 games, and his amount of games got less and less. So you could argue that his prime ages of 24 to 26, right there in that prime would skyrocket him up all-time list. So it has all-time implications, but just not the same kind, because, I mean, he has the second best career sluggage percentage of all time. And that was with missing his 3 best years. He's 20th all time in runs scored. And you're telling me that, he averaged like over 120 runs scored every single season. And if he had 3 more of those, you're telling me that he might not be like top 10, or his career hits might be higher if he kept playing baseball and his health had been maintained, So I feel like there's just a lot, and baseball is like one of those sports that seriously looks so much at, like career stats and where you see, because like, be in football or like basketball, if you're like top 10 in points, that means something, or top 20. But for baseball, it's like, even being like top 50 is like a huge deal. So Ted Williams being top 20 in a lot of these with a shortened career, brings up the conversation of maybe he could have been the greatest of all time.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like there are maybe not a lot of wars, but there are a couple other situations where, that might be the case. History might be a little bit different if it wasn't for World War II or World War I, for that matter.
Or Vietnam, which is
or Vietnam.
I kind of like this. I like this what if thing, and I feel like we could do it more. I feel like there's a million what if scenarios. So
There are a lot, for sure. Is that your favorite of all time, or is that just...
No, that's the one that I wanted to talk about today.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was wondering. I was like, hold up.
That's another thing that I needed to clarify. I was like, wait, all time? Like there's just so many, but that's one like I literally did like a project on Ted Williams back in middle school, and like that had a huge reason on like why I wanted to talk about Ted Williams today. No cap.
Sure. Okay. All right. Makes sense.
So, but Liam, what do you got for us?
What I got for you guys. My what if scenario would be, what if the Buffalo Bills won all 4 of their back-to-back Super Bowl appearances?
Ooh.
Call back to earlier this episode. Well,
Yeah.
Bruce Smith would be the number 1 defensive lineman of all time.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I
I mean, he is in my book.
I mean, okay. But, I mean, I didn't mean that condescendingly, but yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I mean,
maybe Jim Kelly is considered the GOAT at quarterback, potentially.
He could be.
he'd be in the conversation.
I mean, let's think about it. Andre Reed gets into the Hall of Fame faster.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, they all do.
All of them do. Yeah, all of them get into the, because I think like the only first ballots were like Jim Kelly and Bruce. Yeah.
It wasn't Thurman first ballot too? Thurman Thomas?
I don't think he was.
Really?
But
That's interesting.
maybe I'm wrong.
I could see why he wouldn't be though. That makes sense. Oh.
So and that maybe changes the all-time list for like running backs too, you know.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I could see that. Do you think it would have a culture change on the Bills and they'd be like modern day Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh, for sure. I mean, at that point, nobody had ever won 3 in a row. So 4 in a row is just insanity, you know?
Yeah.
To think about. And still nobody's won 3 in a row. So that would be a record that would be unbroken for probably the rest of NFL history.
Yeah, probably.
Unless we get some super dynasty coming around, which hopefully we never see unless it's the Broncos. But
oh, you betcha.
Oh, you betcha. But it could be that could definitely be best of all time implications in there. What if we were talking about Jim Kelly right now and we were talking about how Jim Kelly was the best of all time? How would you guys feel about that? The best quarterback of all time, the first and only quarterback to ever win 4 Super Bowls back to back to back to back.
I would probably say yes.
Go on. Yeah, I mean, I would say he's in the conversation, but the thing is, if the Bills would have won 4 Super Bowls in a row, I feel like they might have been able to win maybe 1 or 2 more though, since they're already on that roll. Like, you know, obviously we'll never know, but I think that's something that could have been realistic potentially. And if that happened, then yes, no doubt.
Interesting.
I mean, you never know. I mean, because like honestly, like if the Bills like went on a crazy dynastical, is that the word, run, then that might even affect the Patriots dynasty, which we all love, right? And obviously the culture would be different. And maybe instead of the Patriots having as many Super Bowls they have, we could potentially see a more like Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens type of relationship between the Bills and the Patriots.
Yeah, very possible. I mean, that could definitely be a scenario that we would be witnessing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like it's really hard to think that they could just win 4 Super Bowls in a row and then there's like no momentum after that at all.
Exactly.
Unless everyone gets hurt at the same time and it's like career ending, but I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of why the Bills fell apart into the annals of history, is that they didn't win the 4 Super Bowls. There was no momentum going forward, and there was no legacy gained other than the fact that they were the first to go back to back to back to back, right?
Yeah, and lose all of them.
Lose all of them. So that's
a bunch of clowns, dude.
That's a big implication, you know, going forward if they had won.
That's
Oh
true.
my
That's a
gosh.
really good one. I like it. Those fans would probably be way more annoying, though.
Oh, Bills fans would be terrible. We'd have
Yeah.
first of all, we'd have the Bills in the AFC East, and we'd have the undefeated Miami Dolphins in the AFC East too. And now we would have
True.
the Patriots. So maybe even the Jets with the I guarantee it stuff, first AFC team to win Super Bowl.
I can already hear it. Jim Kelly is the GOAT! Because I hear it all the time from Boston fans.
Yeah.
So, oh my God.
Bills fans might be more annoying, though, because the Bills Mafia is pretty crazy. Imagine if they actually had a successful squad.
Yeah,
Yo.
imagine if they also weren't low-key kind of racist sometimes.
Well, that's what happens when you live in Buffalo, but I'm not going to call anybody out.
I just realized if the Bills won all of their Super Bowls, the 90s Cowboys really wouldn't even be a thing.
Yeah. No, that's also a massive thing. Is the implications for Troy Aikman and company.
That's true.
And
Cowboys fans would just be talking about the 70s all the time.
Oh God!
Oh, they would.
Bills fans would be the Cowboys fans now.
Oh, you might be onto something there. You're right.
And then the Washington franchise wouldn't have won a Super Bowl, and this would impact LT's legacy in that Giants-Bills Super Bowl. But the Bills really gave everyone in the NFC East, not named the Eagles, a Super Bowl ring, by the way.
Yeah.
That's how charitable of them. And they got blown out in every single game except for that Scott Norwood game.
Yeah, the first one. I mean, whoops. Yeah.
Thanks,
you're right, though.
Buffalo, for making the rest of us deal with Cowboys fans and their annoying...
I don't know, man.
You know what I'm saying. Simon, you live with one, so...
Yeah, you're right, actually. I live with one. I used to live with two, but... Yeah. But I think, honestly, though, if Bills fans replace Cowboys fans, then there would really be no, difference. It would just be East Coast fans being the way they are. And I don't know where this hate from East Coast fans came from, but it's always kind of been there. And, if you're a longtime fan, you know that it's always been there for me. So, I don't know. Even though I'm a Steelers fan. But
that's probably why.
Too. Yeah. Steelers fans be whack, too, sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I'll be watching videos, and I'm like, why did you just do that? Act like a person. Adult. Yeah. Did you say what's that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Right. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Did we want to go one more round, or are we going to call it good here?
I got one more, but I'm good with calling it.
I have. Time. Okay. I have one more, too. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to go one more? You could go one more.
We can.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I actually have a list. Okay. I'm gonna play the next biggest one on my list just to end this strong real quick. But my what if of all time is, what if Cleveland had the best luck in all of sports and became the number one sports town, probably replacing Boston or LA, whatever side you're on. Because if they did have the best luck in sports, there probably wouldn't be a lot of the miserable things that happened, like the shot, fumble, drive. Oh my God, the decision, which I don't know. I mean, I think if they had the best of luck, low-key, the decision was the best thing that could have happened for them, because LeBron wouldn't have allowed them to get, a top 5 draft pick unless he just got hurt for a really long time, which I really find that hard to believe. I don't know. But basically what I'm saying here is, if Cleveland had the best luck in sports, they would potentially be, a top 3 sports city in the country. And the whole culture would be different. Probably the Browns of the 2000s, those Browns wouldn't exist. There would be Browns teams that were way better, more successful, because it's not like a culture of losing that they have to fight, in addition to the actual football game they have to play, which is a whole nother thing. So that would be a thing. The Cleveland Cavaliers, it would affect them as well, right? Because, well, I mean, I don't know. If they had the best luck in sports, then that would probably mean that Cavs team would win one of those finals. But yeah,
I mean, they did win one of those finals. They won 7-6, 4-3. That's the word.
Hey, when?
You don't remember when the Cavs won 4-3?
Oh no! I thought you were talking about that '90s team.
Oh no! Sorry.
I was like, no. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But more, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think if Cleveland had better luck, the decision would have never happened because they would have been blessed with an actual talented front office that could have recruited other talents to Cleveland, not named like gazillion-year-old Shaq.
Yeah, they could have traded for Kobe. That wouldn't have happened, but you know, if that did happen though, Kobe and LeBron on the same team, that would well, really on any team.
Stupid, bro. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it'd be a better version of MJ and Scottie Pippen, but you know, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Just saying.
Kobe beat the fearsome force of in Boston when LeBron couldn't.
Didn't Kobe have Pau Gasol?
Maybe.
He also had the GOAT Lamar Odom. I can't. I'm sorry.
Dude, another thing. If Cleveland had better sports luck, then the Browns would have never moved, and there probably wouldn't even be a Ravens franchise.
Yeah, they wouldn't have been sold in the first place.
That's true.
There still might be a Ravens franchise, but like, who knows?
Not the same.
Yeah.
One though. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ray Lewis probably isn't one of the best linebackers of all time. This has like really huge implications. Also, the Chicago Cubs would still not have won a World Series, and I think that would be hilarious.
Hey, wait, why wouldn't Ray Lewis be one of the greatest of all time? He would just be drafted by Cleveland.
No, he'd just be a murderer. Ooh.
I mean, you
can cut that part out.
No, I'm not going to cut it out because I think a lot of people feel that way too. But okay, hold up. They really wouldn't have let Ray Lewis get away with it if he was a Cleveland Brown.
Bro, he
good luck, Cleveland Browns.
Because he wouldn't be a Cleveland Brown because they wouldn't have the same pick.
What? What do you mean? Yeah, they would.
No, because the Browns would be a better franchise and a better organization, not with that same draft pick. We're saying if the Cleveland Browns had better luck, right? So like we're implying that they find a way to win games also in the 90s.
Pick was Ray Lewis in the draft. He was 26th overall.
He was 26th overall?
Yeah.
Wait, in 99?
Yeah. No, wait. Yeah, no, it was 96.
Wait, the Ravens were that good that fast?
Yeah.
You're kidding. Well,
that's just the Cleveland Browns' luck. See, those two Super Bowls that the Ravens have, those would be Cleveland Browns Super Bowls right now. Lamar Jackson would be a Cleveland Brown probably too. Basically, what we're saying is that we're getting rid of this entire Cleveland Browns franchise, like the modern one from 2000 and on, and replacing it with the Ravens franchise. But instead,
there'd be a domino effect though from the Browns staying instead of moving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they could still get Ray Lewis at 26, though.
All right. I'll allow it.
Trade up. Either way. Yeah. But either way, the Cleveland Browns become one of the best sports cities in America. The economy probably does way better. People would actually probably want to live in Cleveland. And, it'd be a whole culture change. Not just for, like, the teams, but, like, for the city and the community. Like, you could see Cleveland becoming a huge, like, booming city. Maybe a little bit more similar to what Pittsburgh is right now. I think that's pretty comparable. Because I don't think they'd be like Boston, per se. But, yeah. It's mine.
That's a good one.
It'd be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Would.
Liam, you said that you had another one?
Yeah. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Yes.
What if Tim Tebow stays with the Denver Broncos?
That's what I like to hear, baby. All right, if Tim stays with the Denver Broncos and he's behind Peyton freaking Manning and he's learning how to throw a football the right way and how to make reads and read a defense and become a coach on the field, Tim Tebow is ascending the ladder of one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Oh my gosh.
Not really, but I think that
Actually,
he
okay.
No, but I think he'd actually be like a serviceable quarterback. Because I don't think that Tebow changes his mind on becoming an H-back or becoming a running back with Peyton Manning in town, because he's like, bro, just let me learn. And I feel like if given the shot, he might actually learn. But also I feel like this causes trouble potentially for the Broncos during the year that we win the Super Bowl, where we see Peyton struggle and then fans don't let, like we had Brock Osweiler. It's easier to bench Brock Osweiler for Peyton Manning in the last game of the season than it is to bench Tebow for Peyton Manning, So we might not win a Super Bowl, honestly.
Well, I don't know. I think y'all might have still won at least one Super Bowl. I don't know when it would be. It probably wouldn't be Super Bowl 50, but y'all would have won at least one.
You're right. We would have won Super Bowl 48.
48.
Yeah, we would have put Tebow in the Wildcat against the Legion of Boom, and he would have brought the freaking hammer.
Isn't that Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, never mind. That is Super Bowl 48.
He would have trucked Richard Sherman out of his socks on the sideline.
You're probably not wrong. Honestly, if Tim Tebow was a success, I think the whole mobile quarterback thing would be more developed by now and like a bigger deal. Like people wouldn't have had questions about Lamar Jackson coming out of the draft. At least, not those kind of questions.
So you're saying if Tim Tebow's good, Lamar Jackson is probably like a top 20 pick or top 10 pick like he should have been?
Absolutely, yeah.
But then does he go to the Ravens, who built him around him? You know what I mean? Oh,
he could have.
There's implications here, brothers.
That's true. I mean, he could have, because then the Ravens trade out and then trade back in Lamar. I remember, they did trade back in for Lamar because someone traded in at 32, and I thought it was going to be my Steelers, but it wasn't. So,
wait, this was the 2018 draft, right?
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out who had what picks, because then maybe that changes something.
The Ravens traded back to get Lamar at 32.
Well, do you think that?
Okay.
Well, I'm saying like if the mobile quarterback thing works out with Tebow, and there's no question surrounding Lamar Jackson, like he might be an Arizona Cardinal right now at pick number 10, where they took Josh Rosen, and then Kyler Murray might be somewhere else. Like, the dominoes.
Welcome to the NFL.
Please don't sue us, Dave Demeshek. But also, please make more NFLs. Please.
Bro, from one Pittsburgh Steelers fan to another, please. You shared it too.
Y'all can both wear your bags of shame for like not getting into the playoffs, though.
Doesn't matter. We'll get into it this year, but we won't go too deep into that. Lamar Jackson, low-key, might be drafted before Sam Darnold if that happened, though. He would probably be a Jet.
I mean, like
maybe.
he should have been.
Yeah. I mean, don't get it twisted though, because Lamar's throwing was still kind of like, I don't know, like the arm power was there. It was more of an accuracy, and we gotta tweak the the mechanics a little bit, which he did, and he's still doing right now, which is why he's getting better as a passer. But Lamar Jackson would be more of a thing.
He's a way smarter player than Darnold was at the time. So
that's
dude,
one thing
I think
that people don't really give Lamar credit for is he's super smart at the same time.
I think Lamar would look really sick with like green and white glasses on the sideline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
potentially. That'd be really interesting though, because I think Tim Tebow would low-key revolutionize the NFL a little bit. Because I know they kind of went through a mini one a mini one in like the early 2010s with Cam Newton, RG3, Kaepernick, because they all kind of like did their thing that same year anyways. Backed by Tim Tebow as well, though. Oh, sorry, Russell Wilson. You could throw him in there as well. My bad. With Tim Tebow as well, it would probably, we know how the NFL is. It would make it that much more normal. And they'd be like, man, the dual threat quarterback is really a thing now, huh? And, they'll buy into it because he's white. So,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, how many other white dual threat quarterbacks do you know from this millennium? Besides Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel might be drafted low-key a little bit higher too, but yeah, I don't know about that one.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen was drafted pretty high to begin with, though.
He was, but he is a dual threat white quarterback.
It wasn't because of his mobility, though. It was because of his arm.
Like, the mobility was kind of a surprise, We were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know somebody compared him to Cam Newton, and I was like, I don't know. I wasn't sure about that, but I could kind of see it, I guess. He's not a better athlete than Cam Newton, though.
Yeah.
So,
I agreed.
No question.
Maybe Johnny Manziel would get drafted higher, too. That might be a takeaway there as well. Texans draft Johnny Manziel.
Be dope.
Oof. Would it?
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel to the Texans with Bill O'Brien?
Yeah, sure.
Assuming that he's playing, well, and that he's not having the issues that Johnny Manziel had. I'm down.
Bill O'Brien made the playoffs with like Ryan Mallett starting like 4 games, dog.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien, not an intelligent GM.
Not a good coach or GM, but he's good enough to just get you there. He's good enough to open the door. He knows how to use the keys to open the door. He just doesn't know how to walk inside.
That's fair. He can do a lot with nothing, but he can't do much with a lot.
Might be another. That's fair. That might be another what if scenario though with Bill O'Brien.
What if Bill O'Brien was good?
Bill O'Brien was not a coach.
I'm gonna tweet that as just a sneak peek for this upcoming episode. So
go for it. Yeah, it's a good one though. I like that one actually. I do.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And Tim Tebow was entertaining to watch though. Maybe not the prettiest, but always kind of knew he'd just get it done. Sorry, go on.
For sure. No, let's talk about what would happen for the Broncos, because we talked about a lot about what happens otherwise, but what would happen for the Broncos in your guys' mind for that?
I mean, we talked about it. Yeah, the Super Bowls.
Oh. We all would have one at least. I think with Tebow, y'all might. I don't know if y'all would win another one, but you'd contend. You'd contend though.
What about after Manning? Do you think that Tebow can learn under Manning?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Low-key, he should have. I mean, looking back now, he probably should have just, sat behind Manning for what was it, 3 or 4 seasons, and then,
4 seasons afterwards.
That's kind of a lot now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, he would have been 27, 28.
Yeah, it would be more of a contract thing by that point, though. It would be well, hold up, I can't get more money because I can't prove myself because, Peyton Manning's in front of me. So, why should I sign another contract with y'all? Unless I get, some sort of guarantee or it's, a ridiculous contract.
Very interesting.
So, yeah. But I think if y'all did find a way to keep him around, y'all, I won't say y'all would win a Super Bowl, but y'all could most definitely contend. You also never know, because maybe Tim Tebow turns into a fantastic passer and is a Lamar Jackson type or a Michael Vick type, But I could see y'all contending for sure, making the playoffs, having probably more fun games, less tears, but more memories for sure. I don't know about a Super Bowl though. That might be a little. I don't know. That might be stretching it just a little bit.
Interesting. Okay.
What do you think about post Manning with Tebow?
So we ended up trading away our 4th round pick that we got for Tebow, and we traded that 4th round pick for a defensive end and a tackle who weren't on our team like 2 years later. So
okay,
so like,
it didn't matter.
The Tebow trade really didn't do a single thing for the Broncos. So like, we'd have different picks, which might be nice. And hopefully we wouldn't draft Sly Williams in the 1st round.
Ooh. Not that he played bad, but he just wasn't a 1st rounder.
No, he really wasn't.
Yeah.
Dude, what?
Cody, do you think that y'all would be able to contend though with Tebow? Like mentored by Manning Tebow?
I think so.
I think we'd be... See, it's kind of tough because, like, if the Chiefs still end up with Mahomes at the end of the day, then that's a bit tougher, and I don't think Tebow would be as good as Mahomes. But I think that we would be a perennial playoff team.
Yeah.
Hold up, but do y'all think that might affect how the Chiefs draft, though? Because say Tebow is, good enough, right? And he gets y'all into the playoffs, and there's that pressure, right? So the Chiefs are like, well, hold up. We have Alex Smith. He's gotten us this far. He could win us some games. Why should we roll the dice on a 1st round guy and get him? You know what I mean? If he can't play right away, because that would basically mean that we're wasting a 1st round pick on somebody who can't contribute right away while the Broncos are while the Broncos are winning right now, while the, Chargers and Raiders are doing their thing or whatever, because they've had some good seasons every now and then. So that would kind of just put pressure on the Chiefs to to either maybe tank quicker or stick with what they know. I feel like that might play a slight role, because some teams draft according to how the rest of their division does sometimes.
True.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah. That might affect where Mahomes goes too, if we really want to talk about it. Mahomes wasn't like a dual threat either.
Yeah.
So there could have been
Still
somebody that went.
Really isn't, but
yeah, I mean, he could run a little bit though.
Yeah.
Oh, he can make plays with his legs, and that's frustrating because of how good he is with his arm. But he's not.
Yeah.
He's not a. He's not even like a Josh Allen threat with his legs.
No, I mean, honestly, if he was built a little bit different, I mean, this is just his personal preference with his body type and whatnot. But if he was built a little bit different, he could probably be one of the better runners in the league, to be honest. But he's built as a pocket passer for a reason. So
if he took those Tim Tebow diet pills, bro.
What?
I'm saying if his body type, if he bulked up to be a bit more like Tebow.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I was like, hold up. Is that a
Tim Tebow
joke?
Hey, no.
What you said? Tim Tebow would take the HGH instead.
No, bruh, get out of here.
All right. All right. Okay. It's a good one, Liam. I like that one though.
Yeah, that was good.
Thanks. That one was just for Cody.
Thanks, King.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one. I like this segment. All right. Cody, did you have anything else, or are we good?
I'll have a double header for next time.
Okay. Well, that works. All right. So, thank you for rocking with us at the Cycle 365. Make sure to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You name it, we're there at the Cycle 365. Also, make sure you find us on all major streaming platforms. That's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that great stuff. If you're listening to us, obviously you're already there, but give us a share, give us a nice rating, all that great stuff. And yeah, catch us next week where the mini-series will continue. If you haven't listened to the last mini-series episode, the one about AAU basketball, prep academies, all that stuff that I got to do with my older brother, Gene Voyanos, make sure you check that out. It was a really good time. Talked about all of those things, plus Julian Newman to a degree, for those of y'all who know who he is. We didn't do him any favors, though. We bashed him pretty bad. But anyways, make sure you check that out. Make sure you check that out. Next week, I believe Cody has a couple really good interviews with some LGBTQ athletes. Is that right, Cody, for the mini-series?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we'll get them on, and I'm sure that'll be a good time. I've heard a lot of good things about that. And I am one of your co-hosts, Simon Voyanos.
I am Cody Stauffer.
I'm Liam Hughes.
Peace.